we're going to be looking at is parallel lines with a transversal. So I'm going to show you guys lines, and then the little arrows, the red arrows right here, they're specifying their parallel, and then the line that crosses the parallel lines is what we're going to call the transversal. There's four types of angles, but today we're only going to look at two types of angles, and one of them is going to be called the alternate interior, and the other one's going to be called alternate exterior. Yeah, the word alternate means that I'm gonna give you guys angles, and they're both on opposite sides of the transversal. So one of them is gonna be on the left, and one of them is gonna be on the right. Ladies, shh. So that's what alternate would mean. Alternate means one on the left of the transversal and one on the right of the transversal. So they're opposite sides. That's what alternate means. Now the interior, because I said I'm gonna use words like alternate interior, alternate exterior. Interior will mean that both of my angles are inside the parallel lines. And exterior will mean that they're both outside of the lines. So see my example one, that's an example of alternate exterior because they're on opposite side of the transversal and they're both outside. My example number two was an example of alternate interior because see how they're opposite side of the transversal and they're both inside. Now, when we're dealing with the measurement, whichever of the two angles of you're looking at, either alternate interior or alternate exterior, the angles are the same thing, the same size. So in question number one, I'm telling you guys that one angle is 115. And I'm asking you guys to find the measure of the angle indicated. In this case, I'm indicating with a question mark. That's a case of alternate exterior. The angles are the same. So I'm going to say that angle that we're missing, it's 115.
So do you do this, the same thing to the other one?
The same thing with the other one. Looking at question number two, I see 67 degrees. I see the question mark. That's an example of alternate interior. The two angles are the same, so the angle that we're missing, I'm going to say it is 67 degrees.
So every time that's across, it's always going to be that same.
As long as they're alternate interior or alternate exterior. Now, I'm not going to say every time they're opposite because what if I give you this angle 115 and then I ask you for this other angle? They're opposite sides, but not necessarily the same thing. So whenever we're dealing with alternate interior or alternate exterior, they're the same thing. So remember, alternate means different sides of the transversal, one on the left of it and one on the right of it. That's what alternate means. Exterior means they're both outside, and interior means they're both inside. So if you're dealing with alternate exterior or alternate interior, the two angles are the same length. The number. So for the answer, you will type in the number of the angle.
Wait, so the first one is outside, the second one is inside, right? And then so do they know? Anyways, they're not always going to be the same number or whatever, or are they are?
When you're dealing with either alternate exterior or alternate interior, the two angles that you're dealing with, they're congruent, which in geometry means they're the same size. Congruent means same size, same shape. So yes. So we're starting easy. Like I said, I'm going to deal with three things. There's one topic right there. So we're going to start it a little simple. Let's move up a little bit more. I'm still dealing with alternate interior or alternate exterior, but now in this case, I'm asking you to solve for x. So if you look at my example 3, this angle and this other angle, the two angles that I'm showing you, that's an example of alternate interior. And because they're alternate interior, I know they're equal to each other. So I'm going to say that 28x minus 2 equals 27x plus 2. Right? I know they're equal to each other, so I'm going to let them equal each other. I'm going to separate my sides through the equal sign. I'm going to work the way you guys learn how to solve for variable in algebra. I notice that there's x's on both sides. I'm going to get rid of one of them, and I'm going to move it to the other side, but I'm going to switch the sign. Your algebra teacher said do the opposite sign. If it's adding, subtract, do the opposite sign. Basically, that's what I'm doing. I'm moving it to the other side, and I'm doing the opposite sign. Since I want to move the x's to the left, I want to move the terms that don't have an x, I want to move it to the right. So my negative 2 I'm going to move it as a positive 2, right? Opposite sign. Let me simplify my sides. On the left side, 28x minus 27x is 1x. On the right side, 2 plus 2, 4. If I had a number other than 1, because technically this is a 1x, if I had a number other than 1 in front of the x, divide both sides by that number. But I'm done, so x equals 4. That I solve for x. Whenever you guys type it, you don't have to type in x equals 4. Just type in 4. Same thing for my example number 4. I noticed that in that case, I'm dealing with alternate exterior. And I know alternate exterior that the two angles equal each other. So I'm going to say that 14x plus 2 equals 15x minus 5. Does it matter which one put at the left and the right? Not necessarily. Because they're equal, I don't care which one you put on each side. So I see x's on both sides. I'm going to get rid of the 14x by moving it to the other side as a minus 14x. And then the minus 5, I'm going to move it to the left as a positive 5 or plus 5. Now on the left, 2 plus 5 is 7. On the right, 15 minus 14 gives me 1x. So x equals 7. Once again, once you type it, just type in 7. So alternate interior or alternate exterior, the two angles equal each other. So that's how I let them equal each other. Yes.
So the bottom equation always goes first.
It doesn't matter which one goes first. All right, now let me take a look at my last two examples. Now here, I'm going to ask you to find the measure of the angle indicated in bold. One of them is darker than the other. So that's the one I want you guys to solve. To begin with, I have to solve for x. I need to find out what the value of x is. So I'm just going to say that negative 4 plus 16x is equal to 15x. Right, I'm going to let the two equal each other. I'm going to separate them through the equal sign. I'm going to get rid of the 15x on the right. I'm going to move it to the left. So any term that doesn't have an x, I'm going to move it to the right. So my negative 4, I'm going to move it to the right as a positive 4. So I get that x equals 4. But then I read the instructions again. It says find the measure of the angle. So I'm not quite done yet. The angle that is darkest, the dark angle is this angle, negative 4 plus 16x. So what it's asking me is find the value of x and then substitute x with that value. I see I'm adding. I know there's an addition, but 16x, I know there's a multiplication. So we're going to substitute it, yes.
So 16 and then parentheses 4 and then you solve it.
Yes, so I know how to multiply before I add. So I'm going to multiply here. 16 times 4, that's 64. And then I had to subtract 4. So 64 minus 4 is going to tell me that that angle is 60. So if we type in 4 for the answer, it's going to mark it wrong because you're solving for x. But the question is find the angle. So solve for x and then substitute the value in. Yes.
But if you're solving that, can't you just subtract the 16x?
Yeah, if you want to move the x's to the right, then sure. Okay. Now looking at number 6, I'm going to solve for x first. So I'm going to let the two angles equal each other. Yes. How did I get the 60? So far you're good on how I got the x equals 4? Yeah? Now, as soon as you get the value of x, substitute it in the angle. Here I have 16 times x, so it goes 16 times 4, which is 64. Then subtract the 4. That's how I got the 60. I asked any questions and said no. Now that I said it, oh. All right, good. Looking at number 6. Right, first, let me solve for x. I want to know what x is. So the two angles, because that's alternate exterior, the two angles equal each other. So I'm just going to go 18x plus 7 equals 20x minus 5. I'm going to get rid of one of the x's. I'm going to get rid of the 18x. I'm going to move it to the right as a minus 18x. And then my minus 5, I'm going to move it to the left as a plus 5. Right? Remember, algebra teachers kept on saying opposite signs, opposite signs. So it's just that they will do one, they will get rid of the x's, and they will make you copy a bunch. I'm just like, let's just do everything at once.